we're a week into 2021 and things
and
are
it's
already
going great and nothing bad's happening.
we're already off to a start.
Everything is
something.
hunky-dory, and boy is everything normal.
Welcome everybody to episode 50 of Pop Kannon. We are your hosts. My name is Jordan.
I'm Robert.
I'm Paul.
I'm Sarah.
Robert, do you want to do the honors? Today, what are we talking about?
For the big 5-0 on Pop Kannon, we're talking all about Wonder Woman 84.
Wonder Woman 1984, initial thoughts. Sarah.
Liked it, didn't love it, didn't really know what to expect. I didn't really have any preconceived notions or biases against the DC film verse because Wonder Woman's actually my introduction to the
DCEU.
Yeah, the Justice League people,
Movies,
characters, movies.
The Justice people.
The Justice. Couldn't we all use some of those?
Anyway.
But, yeah, so I actually watched the first one last week, like last weekend, so very, very new.
And fresh.
So I didn't really know what to expect, but I thought it was entertaining.
Nice. And we'll get into the more of the extended DC universe, I'm sure, as we go on. Yeah. Paul.
So it's not a terrible movie. I was asking a lot of questions when I watched it. I really like the cast. It's probably, like, for me, like a 5.5 or a 6 out of 10.
Yeah, that's fair. I thought it was good, but I didn't think it was good enough. I wanted it to be better. And I didn't necessarily have specific expectations with like I wasn't holding up any fan theories to it or anything like that. What happened was not what I think I wanted from this follow-up. But it was good in parts, and there were a lot of things, like Paul had said, that left me scratching my head and kind of pulled me out of the viewing experience in certain situations. So, but it was okay. And I think that maybe it critically suffered because the hype had built because it was pushed back so many times. So.
True. I agree with pretty much everything you guys said so far. It's a really good movie if you don't get hung up on a lot of the messy details that they decided to leave in the movie.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's not necessarily a bad thing because it feels like a movie that came out in the 80s. To me, anyway.
Yeah.
Like, you're not getting punch and kick the movie with this. And I don't know if that's what people were expecting.
I wanted more punching and kicking. I could have definitely used a heaping helping more of punching and kicking.
Yeah, but I think the plot of the film was trying to dive more into the character of Diana.
Yeah.
And I can't really fault the movie for her not being in Wonder Woman if part of the plot of the movie is like she's sacrificing her powers
to whatever selfish ends that she's doing that for.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with that being a plot point. I mean, like Spider-Man 2, he's like getting sick and losing his powers, and like for a lot of that movie he's not in the suit and shit like that.
Yeah.
So I feel like that would be kind of like a weak criticism.
Yeah, but I did get a tinge of like Iron Man 3 vibes, where like, why are we following around the movie says the character's name in it. Give me the character. Like, let me see her. Let me see her fighting some sort of ancient shit. Like, let's fucking go here, man. You know. And then when it did allow us to fight, it really wasn't that drawn out or long. And
Right.
for me, that was probably the biggest disappointment. Was there wasn't a lot of like Wonder Woman fighting action, and in the first one, like that was some of the coolest shit in it, and it didn't take up a lot of that runtime either. But I feel like the first one still had a lot more. Like there's action sequences with the chasing and the cars and all that shit, but like a lot of those scenes even are like riddled with question marks about why any of that's happening.
Like, and to kind of like base this off of your point, because I watched the first one and the second one in such like close succession, I was like, even while I was watching it, I was, you know, comparing the two, and I thought I liked the first one much more than I did the second one, and like, because even when you compare the two, you know, they chose for the first one to set it during World War I. So like you automatically, even without Wonder Woman, there's tension, there's fighting, there's conflict, there's anxiety. And then it's like 84, like it opens up and I'm like, this is like, I thought from like the very first opening scene, you immediately got, oh, this is campy. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was, I didn't take it as serious from the get-go, especially with like the scenes at the mall, because it just seemed like you know, this is something that I would watch in the like in maybe like the 60s or 70s if shopping malls were that like big of a thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah. It felt like a Donner Superman like scene.
Yeah, it did.
But like I don't know that setting it in 1984 meant anything.
No.
It didn't, other than like the style of clothes people were wearing. The year had almost zero implication.
Well, it did actually have a little bit of it was like Cold War sorta.
But they didn't lean into that in any imaginable way that would have helped.
No, I know. I'm just saying
build
like
tension. But I get what you mean.
I guess the just the tension of the president wanting more missiles.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Because that's just like kind of in there, and it wasn't like a thing from the beginning. It just sort of happens during that one sequence.
Yeah. Yes.
And you're like, there was no build up to like, oh no, not the nukes because the Cold War. But I guess because 1984, you're supposed to think that. I don't know.
But I mean, as somebody watching it, I mean, I wasn't alive in 1984.
No.
So, like, I don't necessarily think of these things.
Yeah, I think that they could have gone a long way to lean more into that as like a serious matter that could happen here. There wasn't a lot of that at the beginning. And I mean, that first sequence in the mall was fun. I just like, why aren't they showing her? And then I'm thinking, okay, they're not showing her and they're doing those quick cuts and you're kind of seeing the side of her and things like that because they're going to do a big reveal, and then they don't.
Yeah.
She's just sort of also arriving into the scene at some point, and I was like, that's a really strange, like, to avoid showing her seems like you're building towards a full frontal, here she is, holy shit, and they didn't give you that, and I thought that was very weird.
Well, they kind of did.
Well, the first time you see her in like full, she's kind of running alongside of something, so it wasn't like
but
a
the
superhero stance kind of freeze frame moment for it.
But the way that scene was shot and edited, I wasn't
didn't like it at all.
From any one particular perspective. It was like a lot of
from
movement her perspective, and she's still trying to remain anonymous. She's still trying to stay hidden. Yeah. You know?
Which I think that was one of the questions that I had, was like, it's kind of just like a small time burglary that she's like risking if she doesn't want to be seen. You know what I mean? Like one of the
I feel like one of the first places in America to get like
To
a
be
massive
seen.
security system like that would
Right.
be a shopping mall in that era.
Yeah.
So it seems like a weird place to decide to. But then they specifically show her taking out the security
Cameras.
cameras.
Right.
But I just
It's-
for me
yeah.
it logically for me when I'm watching that scene, I don't understand why at certain points we're talking about how she's staying hidden and not revealing herself, and then also stopping petty theft at the mall. That I don't get. I just don't get it. And like I understand what they're going for with like she remains in the shadows and comes out for big, but that's not a big thing, so I don't understand why she's
But
there.
she wasn't stopping the theft. She was stopping him from killing that girl.
That's a good point.
Right,
That's a
but
good point.
in
She
turn
didn't show
stops
up
the
until
thieves,
he took that hostage.
which is also pretty weird. Then if she's like hanging out and she's like, "Oh well, petty theft, fucking let it go." Oh, kids.
But now you're just getting hung up on
I know, and
details
that's what
that don't
happened.
matter.
But-
Yeah.
But
You're literally being nitpicky just for the sake of being nitpicky. It's
they
a
did that.
opening scene in the film.
yeah, they made that decision, so
Right.
they opened the door for the question.
Right. And the other thing that was weird to me about that scene was when, and I said this before.
Yeah.
I just have to
Yeah.
say it. But I thought it was weird that when he took the child hostage, the other guys that were helping him, that were clearly going to go to jail if they were caught, stopped
Yeah.
Yes,
just to be shocked that he was
trying to
holding a
kidnap.
guy.
He was
kids.
crossing
Holding a
that
child.
line.
like
Yeah.
yeah. Like some of them were like, "Holy shit!"
Yeah.
I wouldn't go that far. But like they could have, even if they did feel that, they could have just kept running.
Yeah, it doesn't
Yeah.
Because they
Right.
didn't want
Yeah.
to get caught.
it makes no sense to stop running.
No.
But
I agree. That was like a huge what the hell are
Tried to
these
pull off a
guys
jewelry heist. We're not taking any hostages.
doing? Yeah.
Why are you drawing the fucking line, 1984 criminal man?
Because even when I was watching it, I was like, wait, did I miss something? Or
Yes! You know how many fucking times in this movie I thought I missed something?
I was like, what?
So many times.
Huh?
So many times I thought I missed something.
But other than that, it was cool to see her beating dudes up and shit like
Yeah.
that. You know what I mean?
Like, the actual action is fucking awesome.
Yeah.
I love the powers that they give her and how they portray them on screen. I just want more of it all the time.
Yes. I feel like this movie was a Diana movie and not so much a Wonder Woman movie.
Right.
And I guess that is to its detriment now,
Yeah.
considering people were saying that, oh my god, the movie's 2.5 hours. I can't believe
Yeah.
the movie's 2.5 hours.
It's fucking,
10
dude,
minutes
and it
longer
feels
than the
every
first one.
fucking second of 2.5 hours long.
Yeah.
There's a lot of reports of people that did not make it through their first viewing of this movie because they fell asleep over Christmas weekend watching it.
God damn it.
There's a lot of them. At first I was like, oh, people are exaggerating. And then as I'm reading it, I'm like, oh, wow, this is a lot of fucking people said they fell asleep. Holy shit.
Yeah. It's
And I know
a very
exactly when they
character-
fell asleep because I started to check the fuck out, man.
But it's a character-driven film.
It is, but the first one is, but also has that plot of World War I to keep
Exactly.
Yeah.
To keep it
propulsing forward.
interesting. And oh my god, there's an enemy. We need to hate this person. You're automatically
Now, so bringing up the enemies is a different thing because this film, I liked everything that had to do with Cheetah.
Yeah.
Everything that had to do with Barbara Minerva.
Yeah.
I felt like they did that really well,
Yeah.
really organically. I understood the progression of that character towards where she ultimately ends up. I liked it. I thought the scene where she beats the shit out of the guy that tried to attack her earlier in the film when Diana saves her, when she fights that guy later on in the film, that scene went on for what felt like a half hour. And I was like, we get it. Patriarchy bad. Let's squeeze past that. Holy fuck. They literally beat the dead horse out of that guy.
Yeah.
And I was like, we could have done with not scaling it back. Beat the fuck out.
I don't know.
Beat the fucking shit out of him. I don't care.
I think the point was that like she's
her
like,
powers.
you know,
you could see her strength
becoming
and shit
a villain.
Yeah, she's enjoying it.
Yeah.
Especially because, like, when the homeless man, I forget his name, it's like she's an asshole to him.
Yeah.
So it's like, oh, there's her humanity.
Her turn.
Gone.
Yeah.
She befriended all the homeless, and now she's bum fighting in the middle of fucking DC.
Yeah, I enjoyed Cheetah a lot in this movie.
I think that's probably my favorite arc or thing about the movie is the Cheetah arc, but I wish she got more screen time because I feel like they did just enough
with her.
Could she have used more? Yes. Would she have suffered a little bit from overexposure at that point? Maybe.
Probably.
But I think it was the most well thought out and then ended in a way that I was satisfied with, even though initially as it was happening I was really fucking mad about it. Like, I thought the fight scene went way too fast.
Oh, yeah.
With her as the cheetah, as the predator.
Yeah.
I thought that fight scene was way too quick. I would have balanced those fights out with the bum and Wonder Woman rather than fucking tip those fucking scales. But no, I liked everything about Cheetah, and I like that it's somewhat open-ended to bringing the character back.
Yeah.
If there's a way to get her back to that point. And I think in that universe, it's certainly possible for someone to reach out to her and be like, we could make you that again.
Yeah. That's why it's fucking dumb that Warner Brothers ignores the larger DC universe, because you can literally do anything that you fucking want.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Like she's a very
people
smart
back from the dead.
She's a very smart character.
Right? Yeah.
And she only got more and more smart as the stuff started to affect her more and more.
Yeah.
So she can certainly either work with someone to get back to that point.
Yeah.
You know,
or find it on her own.
Or find it on her own. Yeah. You know what I mean? But the idea of working with someone else opens the door for the larger DC universe, which this film held that door shut and chained the fucking locks. They didn't want anybody else in. Not a mention in passing or nothing. Keep everybody out.
See, I'm okay with that because
I am too.
It's 84.
I am too. I am too.
It's still technically a prequel.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Because Superman doesn't become Superman in their universe till like whatever fucking year Man of Steel comes out. Yeah. So it makes sense that in 1984 there's nobody around. But would I have loved to see like who's that fucking Green Lantern? Guy Gardner flying around? Maybe. You know.
But so what did Sarah and Paul, what did you guys think of Barbara Minerva as a character?
I liked her character. I thought it was like a very realistic progression. Like, you know, like, I mean, she's like awkward and like kind of, but it goes back to like she's that kind of like 80s sitcom awkward. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Oh, what's your name? You hired me last week. Like, you know, so there's like that little bit of like the campiness comes through, but I thought she was really well done, and you definitely noticed a progression of her confidence as she finally starts to realize like exactly what it means. And does it go to her head? Yeah, power goes to most people's heads. So it's like you get that, but then at the end, you know, she obviously, or does she obviously get, you know, some of that maybe humanity back. And then maybe she can find, again, I'm not super familiar with the DC universe, but I would like maybe for her to get that power or at least the confidence back without being an asshole.
Yeah, so I agree. Like I definitely think she played the part really well. I like the parallels that it draws to Michelle Pfeiffer's Catwoman from Batman Returns, like how she starts out like kind of like a mousy, like, well, in Batman Returns she's like a secretary or whatever. But it's similar, and then she, you know, gains then she gets licked by a bunch of magical cats. But I mean, no, like you get the one scene where she's like walking, and then a janitor like spills water, and then she like jumps on the chair.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
that was kind of cute.
In heels.
Good thing you're good in heels.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
in heels, and I was like, oh shit, she's got the cat-like reflex. They're coming.
So I thought that was cool. Like it wasn't similar enough to be like, for me to think. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It felt like a trope.
Yes.
Yeah.
More than anything.
They more walked in the footsteps of it than really tried to pay it direct homage or anything like that.
Yeah.
But definitely the parallels are there because it's a similar character trope, like you said.
Yeah. I liked how Diana and her became friends at first.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It felt like a natural chemistry.
It did.
Yeah.
It did.
Between the two when they were on screen. I liked the way that they developed their friendship throughout the film, only to unravel it due to the zaniness of the comic book world inspired magic rock. Which I see a lot of people not happy about, but it's a comic book movie that takes place in the 80s.
Yeah.
It's just a magic rock that grants wishes. Just let's move on.
I don't want to hear any criticism about the MacGuffin in this movie. Fuck right off.
Yeah, no.
Fuck right off.
I don't see how just the fact that there's a rock that does something. I mean, when you get into the details, I can understand. But
it's definitely like would have been cool to say that it was from a place that maybe will appear in a future film.
Right.
Could have been awesome if they did that. Like, oh my god, this rock is from Kandak or whatever.
Right,
so the Black Adam tie-in is there or something.
So they had Maxwell Lord as the other villain.
Oh, I feel like we could talk about Maxwell Lord all day. The whole fucking movie was Maxwell Lord. This should have been Maxwell Lord 84. We spent so much time with him. We fucking meet his kid, his inexplicably Asian son.
Right.
They were going for like televangelist kind of thing.
Yeah.
So like a Joel Osteen.
I mean, that's what I got from that haircut. So
Yeah, for sure.
Well, and the commercial and like the
Yeah.
bullshit.
But it could be better.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Like no, and it's a cool line and it's a cool gimmick and everything like that. I just how much time did we need to spend with just him? Like he had a lot of solo time.
Yeah.
And that really fucking there's so much of me just like
Yeah.
And I think ultimately for me, like you spent so much time with him, but like when I think about the questions that I was left with, so many of my questions like pertained to like his storyline. So it's like I'm still confused about like some of the stuff, and maybe it's just because like I didn't pay attention for like a second.
oh no, it's not that.
Okay, that's good to know.
There so many times during the telling of his story in this movie, I literally was like pausing it and going like, I heard everything that they said, but I don't know what is happening here.
Yeah.
It bothered the fuck out of me just because like the powers were really unclear.
Right.
And how the transactional nature of the wishes was affecting him was like physically obvious, but like how?
Right.
And they did like it was magic because of the stone, but he became the stone, and they really just kind of said that, and we left it there, and then it just was very vague
about the way that
and that's just not fair if you're going to spend that much time with him.
Yeah.
Right.
I completely agree. There were times where I was watching him try to haggle with people, and I'm like, what is his goal with this person?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I don't understand what his goal was like at all.
And you don't really see the fallout, how it's affecting other than like Diana and Barbara.
Yeah.
The fallout isn't necessarily apparent other than like I guess the world leaders starting to panic and all that.
Yeah.
You know what
like
I mean?
Brief glimpses.
Yeah, and but I mean, we got so much time trying to make us feel sorry for him and his son's relationship, and like, not that I don't like including that, but it almost felt hollow because it didn't amount to anything really. Like, there was the big moment where but it didn't feel. They wanted it to be big, but it didn't have the emotional punch that I thought that they were trying to get it to have.
You mean with his son at the end?
Yeah. With his son at the end specifically.
I actually thought that scene hit harder. That scene hit harder than I was expecting it to.
Really? Okay.
For me, yeah.
Okay.
I actually thought that was done decently.
Okay.
In comparison to other plot points.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I think Maxwell Lord's problems come from the fact that there's a lot of questions. Like for instance, when he saw the rock in Barbara's office, but he just didn't. Why didn't he just grab it? He could have just grabbed it, wished for him to be the stone right there. What was she gonna do? Nothing. You know what I mean?
And then after he makes the wish, it's instant apparently. So like, she couldn't have done anything.
I mean, did he know that he was gonna make that wish though?
At that point, maybe not. I guess.
I would assume. Wouldn't that be the whole reason of him like wanting it though? Like,
I like, that wasn't clear though. Like,
no,
his original. What was his original plan with the stone? You know, like, it was never made clear.
Right. I mean, obviously, like, to somehow fix his like failing business. I just don't know how you come to the conclusion that the best way to have your wish come true is to make the wishes of others come true and then try to manipulate them so all of a sudden all the dominoes fall in your favor.
Yeah. Well, that was the thing. So he wanted to be the stone so that he could make the choice of what to take from people who make a wish. Mm-hmm. Because whoever made a wish had something taken from them.
Right. So that's why he went to the Middle East to give that prince oil what he wanted, so he could take the oil or whatever the fuck.
Right.
Yeah.
But
it backfired on him because he was like, "Oh, I already sold my oil," so like it already started to spiral out of control for him.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. But again, I think there's a huge flaw in that. Like, how does he know that somebody wouldn't just be like, I wish for you to disappear?
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like, it's just a very dangerous thing to be like, all right, I'm going to start granting people's wishes. But I get that he had like an ulterior motive.
That brings to the forefront the criticism that while watching it, I didn't consider, but after the film, I read it and I went, and now I don't know if I'm going to be able to see it the same. The Bruce Almighty connection or analogy where he's just hearing the wishes in his head, and it's unclear if other people are hearing them, because it seemed like while Diana was flying, she could hear them.
Yeah.
Which was like, how the fuck is she like a radio signal? Like, how is she picking up the wishes that he's hearing? Or were they just letting you hear them while she was flying?
For like audience only?
It's probably
right.
Yeah.
I have no fucking idea. So it seemed like her face was reacting to hearing the words spoken that we were hearing. But it was very like, wait, why can she hear them now?
Well, is she known to have any like level of enhanced hearing? I don't think so, right?
I don't think like technically, but I'm sure you could lump that into her skill set.
I don't think anybody would give a shit if you did.
Yeah.
No, they'd be like, oh, supersonic hearing, fucking whatever. But how is she hearing what's in his head?
Well, and then like conversely,
right?
I like to skip to the end, but it's like, well, like, because it's a similar point, but it's like, well, then how did she project her voice to freaking across the globe?
It was that like blue tube he was in, right?
Well, it was that with, she had the lasso around him.
Yeah.
Okay.
But like, maybe it's just because I'm not familiar with the character, but how does that equate to like global projection of voice?
Well, he was
question.
standing under that
He was like, wasn't he
glowing
like being
thing.
broadcast on TV while she did that?
Yes.
But
Yeah.
but no, I thought she took out the TVs to get him to stop, and he's like, they're already wishing for shit.
Well,
Yeah.
he's still
Fuck, I don't-
in that beam thing, whatever that beam of light he was standing in, because he could reach out and touch them while they could reach and touch him.
That was
But that
so weird.
wasn't that like something with like atoms? Like that isn't that what he said when he was like at the White House with
Sure.
the 80s president?
Oh,
And-
fuck, right.
And they were like, and he's like, I need to get to that satellite.
Yeah.
Oh, because it reaches the most people or whatever the
Right.
fuck.
But I
Yeah.
thought it said something about like it spreads atoms, and he's like,
They
to everyone.
they spent
Yeah,
like
yeah,
2
yeah.
seconds on it.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure.
But that's why, like, so I literally spent the time. I was like, how's that working? Like,
Yeah, but see the problem, and this is the biggest problem with this movie. It decides to create things that are super questionable, and takes you out of the viewing of it.
yeah, exactly.
It takes you out of the viewing of it, and you're not paying attention to what the fuck is being said because you're going, well, how in the fuck would that work?
Right.
You know, and most of the time when there's exposition dumps in films, we don't necessarily kill them for it because we know as writers it's a difficult proposition to get some of these crazy concepts across.
Right.
This film decided, fuck exposition, we're just gonna do it. And and I'm not saying that I can't follow a regular movie, but like there was a lot of things that were questionable in this that required some time.
And they had
just were
separate
like,
stories building. It's not
Yeah.
like it was one story that we were
Right.
following. We're following different characters.
Yeah.
I was definitely taken out of the narrative more times in this film than the first
In
one.
the first one,
Right.
for sure.
Yeah,
For
absolutely.
sure.
And it also might have been just because, like, I wasn't always, like, completely engaged. Like, I read a lot of criticism that, like, people joked that the movie was 2 hours too long. But, like...
God damn it.
But, like, I think it definitely could have been shortened. And that, honestly, might have kept my attention span, like, long enough to the end to feel about that scene more than I did.
Yeah, I know, I agree. It definitely would have been hard to shorten, because what do you cut out of that?
Yeah.
But
Right.
some of it maybe just didn't need to be there, like, in the first place.
And I just think some of the really slow parts, I think, and it was just because, like, I just wasn't really hooked on Max Lord's character.
Yeah. And dude, at one point in the movie, I was like, did Pedro Pascal pop a blood vessel in his eye and they didn't have time? Because they don't say anything about it, which, to their point, as it progresses, you know, you see that he's physically being, he's physically incurring damage from all of the wish stuff, which is fine. But at first, there's like a long time where no one's mentioning the fucking pop blood vessel in his eye. And I'm sitting there like, they didn't have the fucking money in the budget to read that out? They pushed it back 4 times. And then, like, you get to the next thing, and you're like, oh, okay, so it's hurting him physically. I got it. But, and then, like, he wishes
They like
to
never
have...
addressed that though.
Yeah, and then he makes a wish while he's being projected into the sky like Mike TV and Willy Wonka or whatever. And he like accepts a wish on somebody and then takes their physical health from them, so all of the things that were happening to him disappear.
Yes.
As the scene progresses, but they don't spend any time on it. They just, like, it happens within the frame, and if you noticed that the sores on his face disappeared, then you noticed.
Right.
And if you didn't, you fucking missed the bus.
Yeah.
And I feel like throughout the whole movie they kind of just take that zaniness and the wackiness and they run with it. They just embrace it. They embraced the camp in this movie.
For sure.
Where they didn't do that in the first one. Not
No,
nearly
there
as
was nothing to
much,
be
at least.
laughed about in that first one other than that, like, one guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But again, I don't necessarily fault them for wanting to do different things. Like,
And go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say, like, if they wanted, they could have just done like World War II or like another
Right.
war movie.
Yeah.
But like, They specifically wanted a story where we followed Diana.
Yeah.
It was more emotional. It affected her. Like, we got to see her incur the loss from the first film. Like, she's so alone and in this vulnerable spot. And it kind of influences her decisions moving forward into the DCEU. We kind of see, like, she doesn't want to get close to people anymore.
Yeah.
Right.
Because, I mean, she literally lost everything. And then she had to go and sacrifice Steve again in this movie.
Right.
Well, we finally arrived at the threshold of Steve Trevor.
Yes.
We did.
That's what I was just about to say.
So here's what I liked about Steve Trevor. Okay. I liked that they did the reversal of the first movie. In the first movie, she's the fish out of water.
Yeah.
And he's showing her around and showing her how to live in modern World War I times. I liked that in this movie they flipped it and Diana's going, oh no, this is 1984. Everything is so much fun. Put on another fucking fanny pack. And they did the dress up scene is the exact reverse. You know, like he's trying on weird shit and she's going, no. And he did the same thing in the first one.
Yeah.
I think that that's cute and the interplay is great. And I like that because Chris Pine and Gal Gadot somehow have really good chemistry and it doesn't seem like they should.
Yeah.
For whatever reason it is, it just doesn't seem like they should, and they do have fucking fantastic chemistry together. They're very funny, and he plays off of, I think sometimes he's like playing off of her accent a little bit when he says, you know what I mean? There's just like something about how they get along with one another within scenes that's like engaging and energetic and fun to watch. I feel like I always like when they're in a scene together.
I agree.
And Steve Trevor being there and kind of like almost ghost of Christmas pasting her through the difficult time that she's having in the current state of affairs in 1984, I think is endearing and nice for their relationship and all of that. Like, I like all of those things about it. Like, the broad strokes of it are cool. It's the minutia of Steve Trevor's existence that really fucking hung me up to a point where the enjoyment level of the movie plummeted as the runtime fucking extended because I'm just like, how is all of this happening?
Yeah. So the scene where they go to the guy whose body Chris Pine is inhabiting, when they go to his apartment
that he borrowed.
Yeah. I was literally pausing the movie because I had to stop and be like, what is fucking happening right now? Because it just was not clear. And I mean, in the defense of the film, it does get there. But there's so much time where you're just like...
So much time. Like 2 full hours.
But I think that is definitely a fault of the film to have him be in somebody else's body.
Yes.
Because you could just have him come back.
Yes. Magic.
It's magic. Anything can happen.
And that's it. And it's open and shut and there's no fucking questions. And nobody's hung up on this in the comments. He appeared and disappeared and that's it.
Yeah. I really want to know why they made a conscious decision to go, well, we can't bring him back by magic. We can't just have him appear.
I don't know why they decided that. Right. They opened the film with a fantasy island of women that don't exist.
That is invisible.
Javelins very far. That cannot happen physically. But for them to stop dead at can't resurrect dead people.
But it's like, oh, we could kill people like, wow. Or like, or like at the end, like the missiles, it's like all of a sudden it's just like, poof.
Yeah. Things can disappear at the end of the movie with zero consequence.
Right.
And that's great.
Right.
Could have just rolled Steve Trevor into that kind of thing.
Yeah.
I do think like it's where the movie plays with the camp of it is like, it seems like such an 80s trope for her to have one wish and to wish for Steve Trevor back and then for him to suddenly appear. So, like, the fact that they decided to take however long the runtime was to explain, no, it's Steve in another body. Like, when Steve Trevor Chris Pine is standing in front of her in that apartment, and he turns and looks into the mirror, and it's another man that I've never seen before, right. I'm like, what the fuck? I paused it, and I went, did I fall asleep? I asked Amanda, did I fall asleep? Because I know that I was just kind of sitting back watching it like this. I literally was like, did I fall asleep for any amount of time? And she was like, no. And I was like...
Well, you did see him before that.
Right, but it was
because when
like
she
briefly,
first met
yes.
him.
Yes.
But it wasn't clear. It goes back to the movie just being muddy and murky for the sake of, like, being muddy and murky and being vague.
They just wanted to move it along. But
also linger and over-explain things that didn't
and, like,
need
and that's
explanation.
The thing. I don't need an over-explanation of it, but just say, oh, well, it's like, you know, like having your viewer connect the subtextual dots to get to how this is happening isn't fucking fair all the time. And for a movie that spends a lot of time with a bunch of different characters and they're all pushing in different directions, it would be nice to not have to stop during every narrative and be like, okay,
right,
let's have a fucking timeout here.
Right.
This is happening for her, this is happening for her, and this is happening for him. You know what I mean? Like, it would have been nice to have just had somebody fucking pop up and be like, boy howdy, magic is like, you know, like anything. Even if it was like to open the film with the kids in the fucking museum and somebody's looking at the thing of that rock and they read the stupid museum explanation of what that rock could do in the, you know what I mean? Like, just so you're going like, anything's possible, you know? Like, it could have been anything. And they just opted to be like, no, we're not gonna fucking tell you.
Sarah, how did you feel? Because I know, like, we talked with Paul earlier about how he felt regarding the Steve Trevor being transplanted into some random dude's body
that she has sex with.
It's I don't know. I didn't particularly like it. And, like, to be perfectly frank, I kind of forgot it was like a thing, like, as the movie, because, like, you don't see that guy again until the end. And then I was like, oh shit, and I go, oh, that's cute.
And then you're like, oh, that's weird, right? She had sex with that dude's body against his will in a film about a feminist icon.
When you make it that way, it's weird, but, like...
Right.
Well, it is weird. And
I'm not thinking about that.
No.
Yeah.
No.
And again, she's seeing Steve Trevor.
Right.
Not that it means that it's him, but...
So was it that dude's dick or was it Steve Trevor's dick?
No, it was that dude.
That dude.
Yeah, it was that dude.
And he got to tap a piece like Diana Prince.
And not even
know. Man.
Maybe he'll have subconscious dreams.
He'll have some weird fucking nightmare dream about it. He just, like, wakes up in 1987 like, I was having sex with a gorgeous woman.
He was like, there was that 7-day period that I lost where I was possessed.
Well, and that's
oh my God, I went all the way to the Middle East and almost got blown up by terrorists. And no one that is my family or related to me saw me on the news.
They didn't care. They didn't care that I didn't go to work. I must have been on a week-long bender. I have to quit. Like, I have to quit the hard.
How often am I fucking drinking and disappearing that no one asked where I was?
Where did I get these random scars?
Maybe he's among the bum community that we got to know earlier in the film with what's her name, Barbara.
Not with that number of fanny packs.
No, that not in 84.
He had a swanky pad, or was that her house? Was that her house?
No, that was his place.
Her house was nice. His was kind of like...
Obviously 80s, right? That was the room that they were in where it was like, oh, everything's fucking funky and cool. Yeah.
All right.
He was a happening dude.
It was like the 80s version of, like, the bro. Like,
yeah.
Like, oh, look at my little fanny packs.
So, and then at the end of the movie, they made it a Christmas film. So that's nice.
Oh, yeah.
Now it's officially on all the lists.
True,
It was very Hallmarky.
It was cute.
Well, apparently that guy was a Hallmark actor.
He kind of
who
looks like
played-
one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that might have just been like
They all look the same.
Yeah, them informing that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I like that.
What did you guys think of the cameo appearance from Linda Carter?
I thought that was
That was
awesome.
cool.
And I love that they tied it into the character that they talked about earlier in the movie.
Yeah.
And like that's the type of stuff that when they do that, I like it. But then the rest of the decisions in the film make me fucking like pissed off that they couldn't just. Why didn't like they're like cool to tie that in at the end to get a cameo in, but like they wouldn't do it for the other things.
Right.
But not
Like
everything needs to connect.
No, I know.
You can't
but,
get
like,
mad because they're shouting out Linda Carter.
No, I loved it. I loved it, but it just makes me like go, okay, so you can do that, but why are you drawing a line in the sand? It doesn't make any sense.
I think it would have been cooler if she was like a villain,
Oh shit.
a Wonder Woman villain,
That's
a
cool.
well-known one.
Okay.
In this case, it seems more just like, oh, here's Linda Carter, isn't that nice? And then that's
Yeah.
Which
That's
is
all I
fine.
thought they
liked
went
it. I
for.
liked it because very early on in like the flashback scene, which I think might be one of my favorite scenes in the movie, the
Yeah.
flashback where she's doing the games or whatever the fuck.
Oh, it was like freaking Amazon Ninja Warrior.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, I thought that was awesome and it
That
was
was
so much fun.
so cool.
There was a lot of like energy and excitement. So they bring it up there. They talk about the warrior that was so great that wore the golden armor or whatever.
Yeah.
They make another reference to it later, and then Wonder Woman has to wear it to stop the Cheetah, which is cool as fuck. It was awesome. I wish she spent more time in that costume for all the promotional shit that was in it.
Yeah.
Like there was a lot of promotion in that suit, and she wears it for like 5 screen minutes maybe, and she's out of it already. But they like keep bringing up that legend, so then to touch on it in that mid credit I thought was fucking cool as shit.
Yeah.
Because like it also speaks to Linda Carter handing over the mantle, you know what I mean, of
for
Wonder
sure.
Woman to a younger Wonder Woman. So like they showed that within the, so now that's like canon for the movie is Linda Carter was a Amazon warrior who then passed the mantle down to Diana,
Yeah.
Yeah.
which I think is awesome. I love that.
Yeah, it was cool.
Yeah.
Because I didn't know who to expect, which is stupid of me, but like I really wasn't expecting anybody. So when she turned around, I was like, oh shit, that's awesome. You know,
Yeah.
like I wasn't sitting there like, oh, it's fucking Linda Carter. Like I didn't do that. I didn't do that. Because I do that
Yeah.
with a lot of shit, and I didn't do it there.
Yeah, I was disappointed that we didn't get more of the Golden Eagle armor.
Yeah.
It just
'Cause it
looks
looks
cool.
fucking awesome. It looked awesome.
It looks like Kingdom Come, Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
It
Well,
did.
that was the armor that
The
she
basis
wore
of it? Yeah.
in that.
And then I saw somebody some meme about this movie that I was like, yeah, dude, you're right. Like, I can't even fucking argue. Was like the promotional material was the fucking rainbow metallics and her in that gold suit, and then the sequence where she's in the gold suit fighting Cheetah. It's just like beige.
Dark, yeah.
Everything is just like gray and beige,
Yeah.
and that kind of like was like, why though?
Yeah.
But we got the invisible jet.
Yeah, we did.
We
They
did.
fucking made the invisible jet, which I thought was corny as fuck, but it was really cool that they did it, because I was like,
Right.
oh my god, they're gonna do the invisible jet.
Yeah. I didn't like that.
The scene was
didn't?
corny as shit, but it looked cool.
I just didn't like that she was like, oh, by the way, Steve, I can make things invisible.
Yeah.
I made a coffee cup invisible, and then I lost it.
Like, why couldn't, when they were sneaking around Lord's office, just like been invisible? I don't know. Maybe
she
that's
doesn't have
dumb,
a fucking
but
invisibility cloak, Paul.
She can't make it not invisible.
Yeah,
That
once
was
she
part of
makes
the
something
dialogue.
invisible, it's just invisible now.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, she can't-
I
can't-
did not catch that. Okay.
Yeah. So
Okay.
She
within
can't
the dialogue, they
unenchant
talked
it.
about that.
Okay, that's
Or
that's cool. Okay.
disenchant it, unenchanted.
But
disenchant?
I think
Undisenchanted.
I personally think that the movie would have benefited if maybe there was a subplot of her like finding invisible tech rather than it just being I can make things invisible.
Yeah.
But
Or
but
like, I have a friend who was able to do this or something like that.
Some older woman who is from Themyscira lives in the area that we're in right now for this film, and she has an old cottage where she has invisible tech from Themyscira.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a small. I think that's just a small thing.
I get what you mean. It would have been cool, but
it doesn't even really like show up again later.
No.
I think, and that's all that it was. I feel like it was just like a little nod, like, it's the invisible jet.
Invisible jet. You remember that?
There's no way that we could conceivably make this like part of her thing.
They only put that in there to tickle the member berries. That's all.
Yeah, and well, also like the movie had a little bit to do with her like learning to fly. There was like some subtle shit about that. And...
Yeah, because Steve has some sort of line about like all you do is find the waves in the air and float and fall down, like whatever the fuck he said.
It's not like flying is easy. It's just wind and air.
Yeah,
it's just pressing buttons.
We're not flying, we're falling with style. Steve Trevor said that, right?
Fuck.
And then Wonder Woman repeats it later in the moment that they need it the most.
I thought it was kind of weird that he was able to just jump in the plane and fly it.
Oh yeah, because the technology hasn't upgraded since 40 years.
Yeah. But
the technology hasn't upgraded in 60 years, so he just jumped right in the cockpit.
Yeah.
He would have been like in a
I feel
World War II
like
plane, like, whoa!
I feel like in 1984, there's just always just like a fully fueled up jet sitting at the Smithsonian.
Sitting on the tarmac. Ready to go.
Yeah.
Right.
But
pre 9/11.
It's pre 9/11. Yeah, exactly. I'm very excited to see a modern day version of this character in her own story.
In her own film,
In her own film. And I think that's what everyone wants. I know that's what Gal Gadot wants.
Yeah.
But I feel like this Wonder Woman that we got in 1984 fits very well in her little pocket universe. Within the DCEU.
Yeah, like I don't think that anything that happens does anything to like soil the character or make her less fun or interesting or anything. It informs her a little bit more, but I mean, I know that a lot of this is about like her letting go of Steve like once and for all.
Yeah.
You know, like that's kind of what she was coming to terms with over the course of it, was like realizing like clinging to the past isn't good for my physical health, you know, like real broad strokes of that story is like learning to be content to let go of things rather than like wasting your time hoping that you still had what you enjoyed but is no longer there or whatever the fuck.
Yeah.
Like that's what it seems
like. Or like maybe even getting what you want isn't good
always,
for you.
Yeah. It's never what you think it is or whatever the fuck.
Yeah. Be careful what you wish for.
Mm-hmm. Right. Well, I think definitely be careful what you wish for.
Yeah.
As Pedro Pascal bleeds from the eyes and has a giant sore on his face.
So do you guys remember the scene where a missile gets shot and then Wonder Woman lassos it?
Yeah, that was in Egypt, right?
It was. I thought that was the strangest like choreographing. Like I don't know what. So wait,
it got shot and then
a missile gets shot and she lassos onto it.
Okay.
And then the kids, right? She scoops up the kids.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, she saves like those two children on that dirt road.
Playing in the street because they didn't realize traffic was coming.
I feel like she used the lasso a lot. Like more than she needed to.
They really wanted her to use the lasso.
They used that lasso
because the first movie was definitely more. The first movie was definitely shield and sword. So they wanted to use her other
Oh,
weaponry.
and then when she catches a fucking bullet with it, remember that? Because it almost hits not Steve Trevor, but the guy that's body she's like I was like, wait,
he didn't even sign a waiver, dude.
Projectiles with her lasso.
I'm just saying he's entitled to compensation, most likely. She really endangered that man. And like the car chase thing in the Middle East was like cool.
Yeah.
But when she like spun the car around, it was like, just get out of the fucking car.
Right.
What the fuck, man? Because even like in your weakened state, you're still way stronger than those dudes. Like,
yeah.
Just go do it. Like, why are we fucking pulling an emergency?
No,
U-turn?
wait. But we're missing the very important plot point that happens right before then, where Max Lord passes them in the street, and then they pay the taxi driver for the car, but then she just ends up running anyway.
Yeah. I like that they passed each other on the only paved street.
Yeah. I don't know.
And then they saw each other and they went like that fucking meme from It's Always Sunny. Across the restaurant.
I don't know. I just watched the movie and I had fun while watching it.
It's a fun movie, yeah.
I didn't try to get hung up on details.
I didn't
like that
try to
until
get hung up on
afterwards. It was really in my brain, but
the last thing I want to ever do is watch something and fucking ask a million questions while I'm watching it.
True.
There's been plenty of things that have completely had me buy in, and my suspension of belief is like at 110%.
Yeah.
Like Invisible Man that we talked about. Immediately my suspension of belief is fucking through the roof because I just bought in.
Yeah.
You know?
And I think it also has to do with this movie trusting its audience with like buying into what we're supposed to.
How the fuck don't they know better? Really? That's like the idea that DC and Warner Brothers would be like, this is the one we're going to leave alone. Now you decided to let your creators do what the fuck they want to do? Fuck off, dude. Fuck off. Well, with the success of Joker, fuck you. God damn it. I liked the movie. There was just a mountain of things that had me questioning and pulled out of it.
Yeah.
But the stuff that and I'm sure that on repeat viewings of it, those things will either become more clear, you know, whether or not like I was able to hear what somebody said in passing and it would like inform the whole fucking thing, you know, something like that. Like, so I think repeat viewings of it will help, but there's also the chance that it will make it more sour, you know?
And it's just it's a personal story about Diana. I know a lot of people were mad about the way that things ended. Like, nobody died. The whole movie, she's just trying to save people.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
I think she does a good job of that. You know, she sacrifices what she always wants.
And I think that's why we find her the way that we do when we see the character, I guess,
BVS.
chronologically the next time in Batman versus Superman.
Right.
But I also I think it's interesting that in all the times that we've seen her on film, she's always like curating a museum somewhere.
Well, that's her shtick.
No, I know, but like, and she's always like looking for something from where her ancient relatives are from.
Right.
Yeah. She's always like trying to like reclaim or discover where this thing went that one of her fucking relatives or, you know, ancestors misplaced somewhere along the timeline. you know, and that's the like guise of the reason she works as a fucking museum curator. Like she's like what was it, Justice League, where she was like dusting the fucking like dinosaur bones or whatever the fuck. And I guess if you're alive all of that time as an adult woman, but you don't age, so you have to constantly bounce from city to city, you can get a lot of degrees and have like people like looking at your resume like, this doesn't make sense.
How can you be 120?
Yeah. You have 4 PhDs. How much time have you spent in school? Oh, like 100 years. It feels like forever. Waka waka.
That'd be a funny sketch.
Yeah. But I like that she's always like working on an angle for like some sort of relic for reasons that either become clear in some of these movies or not.
Yeah.
Right.
It feels like a comic book. It feels like an open and shut 7 days in Diana's life.
Yeah, the open is like the fucking cold open, and then you get the title page, and then you're back into Themyscira, and then the end of the movie, the book, you get to like the Christmas shit, and she like, and it's over. Like I like that.
Yeah.
It's just the stuff that happens within those pages shouldn't make you stop and go.
Yeah. There's all these editor's notes.
There's fucking Easter eggs all over the place.
Fuck.
So,
Big boxes on the fucking pages.
Sarah, Paul, final thoughts.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's overall maybe one of the weaker DCEU, if you want to call it that, movies thus far.
Yeah.
But you know, I liked watching it. I probably won't watch it again. It was alright. It's not bad.
Similar thoughts. I was trying to decide if I would watch it again. Probably not. I would definitely watch, I think, the first one again. It's kind of, now that I have like a very small introduction to the DC universe, I probably will try to make a point to like go back and watch like the prior movies that I haven't seen just for the hell of it.
Well, when you watch Man of Steel, make sure you check out our episode. We cover Man of Steel.
But it definitely wasn't a perfect movie, but and like, you know, I have some issues with it. I know there was like some like reviews debating whether like this movie like set back her as like a feminist like character just because of the plot lines
with the consent, the questionable consent stuff. You can't do that anymore.
But no, I thought it was really entertaining, and I think if they were like trying to go for that like kind of campy, fun 80s like pastel neon vibe, then they were successful.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
I thought it was good. I'll probably buy it on Blu-ray just because I have the rest of them on Blu-ray. You know, it's not like some of the Phase 3 Marvel stuff where I didn't buy it. You know, Iron Man 3 and Ant-Man, and you know, but no, like I definitely want to give it another watch because I want to see which way it goes for me upon a second viewing. I think a second viewing for the first half of the movie is going to feel like a first viewing. And then I feel like the second half of the movie is going to feel like a 15th viewing. Cause like, the scale of the amount of information from one part of it to the next is like completely different.
Yeah.
So I feel like watching it again at the beginning is going to be like, oh, this is what the fucking plot was. Wow. Holy shit. And then the end of it's going to be like, yeah. Let's go.
But I think watching it back to back, like I did.
I think that's probably the most valuable way to see it again.
Yeah, watching Wonder Woman and then
Yes.
right into Wonder Woman 1984.
Right.
I think it's very on par with where Diana's at mentally. And you get to see that full trajectory from the character. But I think it's a good 1-2 punch. Now, that said, I don't know how it works on its own. So my next viewing of it will be,
It's gonna be cold.
by itself.
Yeah.
And it'll probably be the Blu-ray. I don't even know if I'll get to watch it on HBO
Max again
before it's gone. But
yeah,
we'll see how it is a second time. It could work, could be better because now I know where it's going, so my expectations are already there. It could do the opposite, and then I could be getting hung up on different things. But let us know what you thought of Wonder Woman 1984. Let us know if these big details hung you up, or if it didn't bother you. Also let us know. If you enjoyed it, sound off in the comments below, or hit us up on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook at Pop Kannon. Don't forget the K.
Okay.
wait, it might be this way on video because it's backwards. If you want to follow us individually, you could also do that as well. My name is Robert. You could find me on Instagram and Twitter at Yesball.
Oh, you can't find me anywhere.
Well, Paul's on Twitch now.
I'm
Paul,
off the grid.
Drop your Twitch now.
Oh, yeah, I guess I could do that. At what is it? Twitch.tv/tinyskin1379. There you go. I don't even know when I stream. There you go.
Fucking check it out and find out for yourself.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
If you like photos of dogs and not much else, you can find me on Instagram at Sarah Ann Dippity.
And as always, you could find me on Instagram and Twitter. I post memes sometimes at JL24FPS.
Post them every day. Don't let them kid you.
So thank you very much for listening and or watching. Make sure you're subscribed to us so you never miss an episode. And as always, stay tuned for very new episodes of Pop Kannon coming to you in 2020
at varying speeds.
Varying speeds.